You're watching Joker's Wild, your number one alternative to entertainment news, views and reviews. And today we're going to be taking a look at the latest adaptation of a critically acclaimed series of novels debuting on Amazon Prime, Lee Child's Jack Reacher series.
Reacher is a huge, hulking, scary brute. If Reacher walks in the room, the temperature just drops a degree and people are a little, you know.
Following a quick and gruesome murder, the story kicks off with Jack Reacher stepping off the bus in the middle of seemingly nowhere before walking 14 miles to the nearest town, that being the town of Margrave, Georgia. As soon as he stepped into town when he's wrongfully accused of said murder, which it turns out is the first they've had in 30 years. We're then introduced to Officer Roscoe, a tough as nails cop who's, well, as tough as nails.
Sir, if you step over here, I can process you. I'm not asking, sir. I'm telling. But don't worry, I won't kick your ass unless you make me.
Alright, clearly that would never happen. But you gotta give her points for at least trying.
Craig Revel Horwood. 10.
Jack Reacher. No middle name.
Zip ties?
Cuffs didn't fit him.
Enter Chief Detective Oscar Finley.
Mr. Reacher, I'm Chief Detective Oscar Finley.
A by-the-book detective who'd sooner have his case wrapped up nice and neat so he can go back to whatever it was he was doing before, you know, the whole murder thing.
You still match the description of someone seen walking the highway earlier today near where the body was found.
Well, that's because it was me. I got off the bus from Tampa and walked to town.
So he cuts a deal with him. If he can find proof he wasn't at the scene of the crime when it happened, he can go free. Until then... Now, no sooner as he stepped into prison, point blank refused an in-depth body search, some dude decides to take it upon himself to attempt to change his name from Jack Reacher to Jack Reacharound.
2 seconds later.
And thankfully it doesn't go according to plan at all. Anyway, as it would transpire, turns out Mr. Reacher's innocent. Yep, turns out this dude's a certified war hero and was nowhere near the scene of the crime. Only not so much into the hero part these days.
Something bad's going down in Margrave and I don't need to be a part of it.
Fair enough. Anyway, this leads to his release. Only the people who put him in there in the first place now want his help. He's like, nah mate, that's a you problem. Nothing to do with me. Yeah, about that.
You tell me right now, what's going on?
The season is based on the first book in the widely successful series, allowing the character to grow from season to season, as well as the actor's portrayal of the character, in a way the author intended. And the first adaptation of the character was back in 2012, headlined by Tom Cruise no less, and weirdly based on the 9th chronological book in the series.
You think I'm a hero?
I am not a hero. I'm a drifter with nothing to lose. You killed that girl to put me in a frame. I mean to beat you to death and drink your blood from a boot.
The movie turned a $50 million budget into a $218 million box office hit, which had Cruise rubbed his hands together at the prospect of having 2 major box office franchises running alongside one another. But that came to a head with the 2016 follow-up movie Never Go Back. Jumping another 9 books forward in time, double the budget of the first movie, it only managed to pull in $162 million at the box office. Now I say only, still the kind of profit movies like the Matrix sequel could only dream of having.
Not like this. Not like this.
Too late.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Yes, you. How does the casting go from this to this? Will the real Jack Reacher please stand up? As you can imagine, Cruise's casting caused huge controversy back before that movie came out. Kind of justifiable, considering, you know, in the book, the character's described as being a 250-pound blonde man, standing 6'5" tall, hands the size of Thanksgiving turkeys, knuckles like walnuts. While Cruise, on the other hand, dark haired, 5'7" in height, give or take, weighs 169 pounds, that much, has hands the size of chicken McNuggets, knuckles the size of aspirins. Look, I'm not hating on the guy, alright? It's just for comedy effect. Go with it. All that being said, I thoroughly enjoyed his interpretation of the character, which without those movies, many casual cinema goers around the world wouldn't even have known existed. And hey, it did bring us one of the best pairings the Mission Impossible franchise has ever given us, and arguably two of its most acclaimed and successful outings, with yet a third one from that director due later this year. Which brings us back to modern day.
I loved the first two movies. I thought they were terrific. But ultimately, the readers felt he was not an accurate representation of Reacher. And I've got to defer to the readers. You know, the readers are the most important people to me.
And why was that? What were they saying?
Well, he's too small.
Did you get that?
He's too small.
No, the line before that.
The readers are the most important people to me.
You see, it's statements like that lead to headlines like this. Not to mention headlines like this one here. Yes. Whilst corporations like this lot continue to burn themselves to the ground in their futile quest to do everything but entertain us, the customers. But what do we know? Rant over. Now, I'll admit, when this show was first announced, I gave the idea of it existing a wide berth. I mean, Amazon's history of adaptations have tended to be, well, uneven at best. The more I hear about the forthcoming Lord of the Rings, the more I'm
No! What the hell are you doing?
Thankfully, this time around, I was proven wrong. Like, embarrassingly wrong. Like, I loved this show. I really enjoyed this season. I thought 8 episodes was just the right length for the story. The casting, spot on, especially its 3 main leads. I absolutely loved Malcolm Goodwin as Finn, taking what could have been a bland and annoying 2D character and fully realising him so many layers. You know, I'd actually watch a season of this character all by himself. It was that good.
Word's going around town you've been harassing Mr. Kleiner.
I was investigating the Morrison murders like you directed me to.
He says you threatened to put a part of your anatomy up into a part of his anatomy.
Things regrettably turned acrimonious. Not my best moment.
In fact, come to think about it, his character has the best arc out of everybody, finishing almost a complete 180 from where he started out from. And I loved the old lethal weapon thing him and Reacher had going on. Very entertaining. Mad props to the actor for this performance. And then there's Willa Fitzgerald, who I last saw on a Scream TV series, which she was also excellent in, I might add, giving the ball-busting Roscoe enough humanity to keep the character grounded. There's a will they won't they between her character and Reacher, which, although predictable, pretty well paced, and the chemistry, it just works.
Show off.
And how are you going to choose the actor?
Well, I mean, I would love to see a complete unknown.
Now, I've been a fan of Alan Ritchson from his stint way back as Aquaman in Smallville, through to his appearance as Hawk on Titan, and always hoped he would headline his own high-profile project one day. He had the looks, the talent. Hold on.
How y'all doing?
What is this?
Sorry, Alan. Can I just say before you start, thank you? Thank you for putting a little smile.
Oh, you put a smile on Paula's face.
Come here. First time we've seen her smiling, Alan.
Oh,
you are the sunshine of my life.
Right, enough of this. And the physical presence to solidify him as an action star that it's taken this long has, I think, been beneficial in that it's given him time to hone his craft. Not the craft of breaking bones, mind you. He had that down pat long ago. But it's the quiet moments where he has to internalize that he really gets to shine here. As Reacher comes to terms with the fact that not every battle can be won by planting your fist firmly into another man's face. Just, you know, most battles.
I will ruin your life with one phone call.
I'll end your life with one phone.
But what good is a hero, albeit a reluctant one, if you don't have an equally formidable villain who's up for the task? Now, in modern day Hollywood, you can only go one of two ways when it comes to depicting a villain on screen. You can go the sympathetic route, which, if done well, gives you this guy. Or girl, you know, equality and all that. But if done wrong, well, leaves you with this guy. Enough said. Now, the other option is what I like to call straight up Game of Thrones level nasty. When your character's so despicable, they're borderline irredeemable. You just can't wait to see them get their comeuppance.
I can't stand the wailing of women.
One word, and I hit you again.
I'm telling Mother.
Yeah, never gets sold. Thankfully, although not for their victims, British author Lee Child has gone for the latter, with the villains in this series really capable of some truly horrific acts, to the point that when said comeuppance arrived, you're left thinking, but was that enough though? Was it? Really? Now I've also got to give a special mention to fellow Smallville alumni Christine Crook, because, well, it's Christine Crook, isn't it? Yeah, I like the performance. Now look, I get it. Perhaps due to my initial expectations being so low in the first place, I may well be viewing this show through a favourable lens. Keeping in mind I didn't watch a single trailer before binge watching the entire thing, alright? Just went in there blind. And as for my expectations being so low, well, it's because the initial character was, written to be a dude's dude. I mean, pretty much look up alpha male in the dictionary and there'll be a picture of him staring right back at you with those cold eyes. How would that translate, I wondered, taking into account today's modern sensibilities? Thankfully, those fears were unfounded, probably due more to the creator having more of a hands-on role in the production. If only, George, if only. Look, either way, I enjoyed it. The action was solidly directed, the cinematography, the story, the characters, the performances, all top notch. Even the female gaze is catered for here. As much as the media tries to deny it exists, we all know it does, right ladies? That being said, I did have the odd gripe, like the thing that happened in the strip club that I felt was more than a little ham-fisted. It just seemed to be a little too forced in for my liking. Immediately took me out of the scene.
No touching without consent.
But look, I'm not going to focus on the negatives because they really are few and far between. I'm already looking forward to season 2. And if they do what I think they'll do and chronologically follow the books per season, the future's bright for each other. Just not for the bad guys. And so my final verdict for the show, solid thumbs up. So that's it for me. Let's hear from you. Did you like it, love it, hate it? Comment down below and let a brother know. And I'll see you next time.
Bullies need to know they can be punished too.